I consider it a pilot project. We were looking for a way to create more life back into our downtown, that is in a pedestrian-friendly way. So this block came up as the first block to do that because it's in most need of rejuvenation. So the street also has seen some new businesses. We have some unique businesses on that street that we think will attract people to come and spend time on that street. So that's why it's called Craft District, because it has a butcher shop, it has a bakery, a pet store, soon opening a makerspace, it has a microbrewery. So it has all these elements that you could sort of think of it as in there's a craft happening in that store or in that building. So that's where the name Craft District came from. The vision for this street is to create a destination. We have a park-like setting in there, as you all know. The space next to Absolute Brewing Company cannot be built on. Well, not unless you do a severe remediation, which is very expensive. That likely won't happen. So we now have a park-like environment, and we could just create a really attractive street where people want to spend some time. Whether it's sitting on a patio, whether it's walking around shopping, whether it's attending an event, or whatever else you might think of, that belongs in a downtown area of the community. And we've seen that in many other communities happening as well. I know you're already shaking your head, Bill. So what we'll do is I'll get you through the vision, and then I'll give you the opportunity to chime in. Sounds good?
I'll chime in, all right. I'll keep it polite.
Okay. So we believe that by enhancing the Craft District as a street for pedestrian-friendly traffic, that we're going to create a destination. That's kind of where we're coming from. A few of the facts about the project. There was a rumor out there that we were going to close the street, which is absolutely 100% not true. We're not really quite sure how that rumor got out there. It is in essence a sidewalk widening project. So with that, we're going to be doing new concrete on the sidewalk. We're gonna put new electrical conduit in. We're going to put new street lights, new trees. These are all beautification enhancement of the street. But in its essence, it's widening the sidewalks on both sides of the street by 3 feet. That's it. The current street allows for that expansion of the sidewalk because the roadway and the parking lanes are all wider than they need to be according to highway standards. So we have room to do that without losing any width on the right-of-ways or in the parking lane. So we're just kind of narrowing both of them down just slightly, and that gives us the opportunity to create 3 feet of extra sidewalk on each side of the street. There was also a misconception out there that we were going to have no parking on the street, which is absolutely not true. I should say, and that's very important, and that's maybe a discussion we can have, is that we'll be losing some parking spots. So our consultants who, and I'll show you a better photo right away, they have drawn in a new pedestrian crossing right in the center of the street. And that comes with a slight little bump out, and that will remove a total of 4 parking spots. So we are losing parking spot in the street that's already pretty congested when it comes to vehicles, right? And this is a conversation I've had with Dave many times because I know that's one of your biggest concerns for the project. We're going to be changing some of the designated loading areas. We have, and it makes total sense, have a request from Dusty's Butcher Shop to have a loading area in front of his store because of all the heavy water bottles and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be doing that. That is a 15-minute parking that allows for easier serving of his customers in front of the store. The wider sidewalks will have what we call in the new area a corridor. So all the stuff that belongs on the sidewalk will be in that new part. The benches, the trees, the street lights, the parking signs, or whatever it may be. Therefore, the existing sidewalk, which will get new concrete, will be completely obstruction-free. So it's an obstruction-free sidewalk on each side of the street. The project is designed to help support the existing businesses, and I know you might feel at this point differently about that, and I hope I can take that hesitation away. But the goal is to bring more people to the street. So in the end, to get you more customers. That's the goal. That's the project we're going for. This is about bringing people downtown. And I call it a pilot project because I think if this works, a project like this works, we can then come up with the same concept in some of the other streets as well. So as I mentioned, that's why I put this image in here. Right in front of your building, the Vermilion Grover's office, will be a brand new crosswalk. And that crosswalk will be accompanied by what we call bump outs. Everybody familiar with that term? Bump out is a little bit of extra sidewalk that usually has planters in it or any other features to beautify it, and that makes the crossing for a pedestrian shorter. Essentially what you do is you don't make the roadway any smaller, you remove the parking spots. And therefore the distance that a pedestrian has to cross the street is going to be shorter and safer. So, we're also going to be putting bump outs, and we'll show you an image later, on each side of that street. And in the future, phase 2, when we do a first street, we're going to do that as well. At the end of the street is going to be bump outs. And that is also to shorten the walkway for a pedestrian to cross the street. The other thing that does is, you see that in other communities, is it reduces the speed of the traffic. It is a natural element that makes people slow down. So bump out has that of sort of two features that way. It's a safer crossing for pedestrians, and it slows, hopefully, traffic down.
Is there like a little, like almost like a little speed bump?
Speed bump?
Like just tiny?
Yeah.
Okay.
The original design had that in it, in that one that's coming in the middle, but we had to remove it.
Oh, okay.
If you go to the street now, you see that it's quite the,
Oh, yeah.
it's called a crown, the center of the street. It's quite high, so technically we can't do that without ripping the whole street out. So, and it just got resurfaced not a few years ago, so we're not doing that. We're not ripping out the asphalt. Like I said before, this project is really meant to bring more life back into the street, to service the businesses in a way that we can bring in more customers. And it's really an extension of a plan that we started 25 years ago when it comes to trying to make sure we keep life in our downtown. And this is kind of sort of goes to my work, many communities have a downtown that struggles. We've seen retail disappear, the big box stores, and online shopping is a real threat to downtowns. And we hope by rejuvenation, by attracting other kinds of businesses, that we make sure that we keep that life back into our street. The downtown of our community is really the heart of our community. And we believe that we need to invest in that. So that's where that whole notion comes from. We're planning in this first phase to focus on the technical side first. So we are about to launch a request for proposals. That means that we're going to get quotes on the work and see if we can find a contractor to do the work. And that is really all about the street side, the curbs and the sidewalks and everything else that comes with it, the underground stuff. But we will be adding features in the future. So some of the features that we want to add is additional trees and landscaping. The existing trees that are there right now will be taken out. They are past their lifespan. We had a landscape architect come up with a new series of tree species that we're going to be planting in there that are going to help with the drainage as well. So they are meant for streets like that. They don't grow overly high, and they do a really good job using the natural drainage to water themselves. So we're going to have new street lights, both traditional style street lights like you already see on Main Street, like that. Those are the black sort of decorative street lights, as well as we have a plan to put on the first section, which is in front of Joey's up until Dave's store, sort of, we're going to be crisscross Christmas lights. So, and those are going to be all year round. So that's part of the plan as well. We're planning on doing benches, and I know the plan shows how many benches? 10 benches. We're likely not going to put 10 benches in there. That is something that the consultant put in there. We're also currently reviewing everything that has to do with benches in our downtown, and that has to do with our homelessness and everything around it. So we are not even ordering the benches when we do the project. We're going to take our time and review that first, because what we don't want is people sleeping in front of your stores. That's one thing we don't want, right? So, but we do want a place where people can sit and be in your area, be on the street. But it cannot be a place where loitering happens all the time, like we see some other places in our downtown. We've heard from many people, and I walk by it every morning. It's what happens on the corner of the Royal Bank, right, where the benches are now. But this is a completely different discussion, because we also need to come up with a plan to do something about that homelessness problem that we have in our community. And we have some ideas about that, so I can tell you after if you want to stick around. So, benches, seating area, gathering place, public art, indigenous art installations, and murals is part of the plans. Additional placemaking features. Something that's not written in stone, but we love to work with you. One of the things I dreamt of, Daryl, is, and I know you don't want to add more work that you already have, is that you would offer coffee with your bakery. Right? And that people, maybe somebody else will take up, but I'm just using this example. Right?
Yep.
What if you did want to create a patio in front of your business in the summertime? I think we need to be able to offer options like that. So that if you do want to do it, that you come to us, that we have options to do that. So there's thoughts about that as well. I put this photo in here because Maria's brother Lucky set up a little tomato selling table the other day, and he sent a picture of it to me, and I like that, because that's exactly what I hope the street to be. Something that you can put your products outside and just make this liveliness. People will come as a destination to you, or whether it is a burger vendor like we have now with Absolute Burger. And things like events and street markets and stuff like that. Okay, so that's about the vision of the street, the way that we think we would like to go. And Justin will now talk a little bit more about that.